Hello and welcome to Indiepocalypse Radio. Oh no, it is not Sky Night anymore. What am I doing? Anyway, welcome to Indiepocalypse Radio, your number one home for indie unmarketables. I am your host, as always, Andrew, the editor-in-chief and everything else of Indiepocalypse. And folks, we have a fantastic show for you to this night or afternoon or this time of day where you're living. We've got, believe it or not, we've got game developers, quite a few of them. But before I get to that, as you can see from if you're watching live and you see my ill-changed title, last week was a ska night, and I've got very invested in themed nights, because it's a lot of fun, as it turns out, to make playlists and to put together playlists. And I've got one in the can, as it were. I got also I really like sequencing, and I've got to get into more sequencing and that sort of thing. But I've got one ready to go in the can, as it were, ready to be sequenced. There's a slight preview of it on my Twitter over at the Twitter at Pizza Pranks, which is my online persona, I suppose. Speaking of online personas, we are here with our very first guest, who you may remember, or you may know even, from issue 17 of Indiepocalypse, with Otsubaki demo, that is. It's Free Swan. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Oh, fantastic. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. How you doing? You already asked you that. Oh, shit. So important question.
I'm sorry, continue. Sorry.
No. Number one rule of Indiepocalypse. If I'm talking, just plow through me and I'll shut up.
Oh, no!
As the host, I know you have to recognize when you have to give up your space to your guests. I'm here every week. If people want to hear me blather about dumb bullshit.
I'm just visiting.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the host.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I am, quite literally.
Yeah. You asked how I was doing. I was going to say I'm doing great, because I just figured out some coding stuff, how to add fireflies to my new web game, my episodic web game, Heaven's Yoke.
Perfect. I have not dug into the old code world in a while. Eager to get back, but then I accidentally invented a board game, so that's going to take me too much longer. But that's also a prototype-ish, I accept, so I'm just going to hammer it out and not worry about things balance and good.
Yeah.
But important question for you that I gotta know of every Indiepocalypse sketch, which is, how did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
So actually, in the pre-show, we mentioned Michael Clemarus, who does a lot of Michigan organizing.
Yes.
Small Witch is also from Michigan, and they're showing up later.
Yes.
A preview. Yeah, but so my friend Raquel joined one of the locally sourced Michigan bundles, and then later on linked me to an Indiepocalypse saying, hey, you should submit here. And I was like, I don't have anything to submit right now. And then I developed a Chitsubaki, and then I was like, hey, I should submit this. Yes. And then it see issue 17 of Indiepocalypse.
Yes, that. Shout outs to Michael Clemers, the non-stop cheerleader of Indiepocalypse.
Yeah.
Supporting the work from the very beginning.
Really?
Or relatively close to the beginning, all things considered. I forgot to ask how. I'm sure I did ask him how he found it, but who knows how he found it? I don't remember at this point. It's only been a year and a half.
Oh, really? Only a year and a half of Indiepocalypse?
Only a year and a half, yes.
Because I heard about you last year.
Yeah, that's forever. It started. To put it into perspective, long-time listeners will know, Indiepocalypse started at the at the the onset of COVID-19 within the United States.
Wow.
Yes, at PAX East there was the very first
Ah.
when everyone's like, haha, better wash our hands, not touch our face.
Yeah.
And then after that, everything got locked down.
Yeah.
But now everything is starting to open back up, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
You start to really be reminded that the United States is very large, and states have such drastically different. Living in different states can sometimes feel like living in different countries.
Yeah. I think my Argentinian friend is listening, and they were like, they thought it was funny that people have like state pride.
Yes, yeah. It's, the thing is, these things are huge.
Yeah.
This country is gigantic.
You drive 4 hours and you're still in Michigan.
Well, yeah, I'm driving 4 hours to another state, but that's only because I'm going from one end, like basically from corner to corner.
Yeah.
But like, yes, and that's basically I can traverse two states in, but also yes, there were some states that you would fly from one end of California to another. You know?
Literally, yeah.
But yes, it's a bizarre, large, confusing. State pride makes a lot of sense. It's why when people, eventually I want to. Once this Indiepocalypse Koosh issue comes out, and maybe if I start making more money, my next like long-term project I want to do is the Sufjan Stevens Memorial. Hey, look at me! I can make an Indiepocalypse for all 50 states.
Yes! Sufjan Stevens! My sad man!
He's a show. What did he? And I definitely want to start with like what was it like Michigan and Illinois?
Yeah.
Were the ones he started with. I definitely want to start with those two, just to be a real dick about it.
Yeah, please.
And then do all 50 of them, fulfill the promise of that like massively long project.
I believe it. I'll join. Definitely.
Perfect. Yes.
Represent Michigan.
Exactly, because like, I think it's very easy for like the United States to get, especially because it exports so much of its culture. It's very easy for its culture to get like flattened when it's like, that's not what the U.S. is like. We're not.
Just the difference. Okay, just the difference between Northern California, and Southern California. It's like two different states in the same state.
Yeah. It's a very wild, drastic, like massive country full of all sorts of different people. I have a friend who lives in the South who's told me that they don't really have linguiça down there, and I'm like, what a hellscape.
Yeah.
I can't imagine living a world where it's like, I could also get like, they don't even have like charisse or any kinds of, they don't have like the full gamut of spiced porks and sausages.
Yeah.
That I guess.
What a tragedy.
I know. It's like, it's where the melting pot, like where the different ingredients of the melting pot landed, I guess, in that ideal form of the country or whatever this country. Get out of here, America.
Ah. Oh. I wanted to ask, did any of my friends send questions? I told them to send questions.
We do have two questions. One of them...
Yes!
Okay, so here's a question. I don't know. Tell me if this applies to you, if you know what it means. This is from Anonymous. And it says, why fairies and not some other supernatural creature?
Oh, that does make sense.
Okay.
I think if you only know me from Chitsubaki, it's a little bizarre. But if you know my brand at all, Face One, FEYXUAN, the Fae comes from fairies. It's because I think of fairies. I was talking about it with someone earlier who asked me about like what's in my shop, what have I published, and what was like my what was like my origin point, and that is in The Fairies Sing Each to Each, which is available as a libretto, which is like an opera script. With hot pink text, reso printed from Flower Press. But basically, that work is kind of like seminal to to the body of my work. which is to say, it explores fairies as this like exact breaking point between the monstrous and the divine. Um, so fairies carry this tension of being able to be both monstrous and divine. I wrote and released an essay zine today called "The Divine Do Not Live on the First Floor." In that essay zine, I talk about how the theme in Heaven's Yoke is there is no good and there is no evil. There is only the power of living things. And that means the power to enact divinity, whether it be a form of divine justice or divine cruelty. I also like go into the fact that fairies are known for being amoral. So the type of justice, quote unquote justice, that they explore in works like Liar Lioness, like my visual novel series Liar Lioness, and my audio drama Lychee Seed, my whole body of work.
Yes, you have an extensive body of work, which actually I think will, as you explain, like got fingers in every medium you can find.
Yeah.
We have another question here, actually.
Yeah.
From one Meg, which is
Meg!
It's a question about game development, but I think you can apply this to the broader creative process, but maybe perhaps with a game development focus, which is, what's usually the first part of your creative process? Where do you start?
Oh, that's really interesting. Where I start, I think I start in a feeling.
Okay.
Like, I want to express something that people say to me a lot of the time is, your work made me feel something, but I don't know what it is. Sometimes whenever I feel something and I don't know what it is, I create a work that explores that space of ambiguity.
Yes.
Of having this unspeakable, unnameable emotion, inarticulate. Yeah.
No, I like that thought because I've been thinking more about like art lately.
Yeah.
I finally went back and because I know, rest in peace, dude, to Roger Ebert, but I remember he hates video games or hated video games, and I remember never actually reading his essay on the subject.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually went back to read it, like, well, what did he actually have to say? Because I feel like it was, probably more generous or more,
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? More
Forgiving?
More forgiving or more, like, complicated than just, like, he says video games aren't art. And it's like, well, what does he think art is? And it's very interesting. Because I've been thinking more about what art is. And that's kind of like that indescribable feeling as I think what I think of when I think of art.
Yeah. Someone, a Chinese translator who wanted to translate my work into Chinese recently told me that they consider my work to be more of like a literary artistic experience than a traditional game.
Yeah.
And going through other people's going through some of the queer games bundle, going through some of this year's queer games bundle, I encountered some very like amazing, like atmospheric, but like atmospheric without being so commercialized that it could mean anything, which means it means nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, so I was playing one of Elliot Harriman's games called Cover Me in Leaves.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that one?
I have not played it, but I am familiar with it. I am familiar with Elliot. I reversed the R's and the L's, like it's not my native tongue or something.
Yeah. So I was playing Cover Me in Leaves, and it was just like a visually stunning, texturally interesting. There were so many different flavors mingling.
Yeah.
It had such a good, like, a good mouth feel, but for aesthetic for my eyes and my soul. Yeah, it was like that kind of thing. And what I seek out in as a game developer, the kinds of games I want to develop and the kinds of games I like to play are ones that really challenge some kind of undescribable feeling, some kind of space, some kind of ambiguous space. Trying to define a liminal space and what it means to be between spaces, and what it means to be temporary, and what it means also, and that how permanent that temporary space is once you acknowledge it, once you see it, and the kind of tension between is a liminal space like an airport. Like this will always exist so long as there's the concept of the spaces that it's connecting from point A to point B. There's always a space in between.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have this binaristic thinking that there is only categories A and categories B. But more things that people know are more value neutral and exist in a spectrum instead of this is absolute one thing or absolutely the other. And I think when people explore that space when it comes to emotions, the work they create is very amazing.
Yeah, exactly, because this is not like a trying to rigidly define something is almost like kind of the curse of our modern explainer culture.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
everything needs like a very finite definition when things are perhaps more complicated and more like not even complicated, they're just like vaguer than we think they are. They're just more unclear.
Yeah. People tend to it's like you can only say so much in a snappy tweet.
Yes.
And people prefer to make headlines, like a snappy, punchy headline, than explore the nuances and the ambiguity. Like the reason why I didn't make a thread of tweets and instead wrote a 10-page essay that turned into 20 pages when it's like A5 size, when it's book size. Is because like I couldn't express my thoughts on divinity and the failures of what most people modernly conceptualize as being quote-unquote subversive or quote-unquote challenging, when it's like it's just not that. You didn't do it. You're patting yourself on the back for doing nothing. And like it just frustrated me so much. And I'm like
I have feelings about people posting a tweet and then patting themselves on the back and doing a victory lap.
Yeah.
Like
wow, I retweeted this, so I am a good person. If I retweet this, I will be a good person.
Yes.
And it's that type of logic, that binaristic thinking that if X then Y, absolutely. And that's oh, I just need to barely lift a finger and then I'll be a good person.
Right.
Or if I villainize this person that everyone hates, that it's popular, that's trendy to everyone to hate.
Yeah.
And I'll be the good guy.
Right. It's also it's obnoxious from like just a stance of, well, you're not really doing anything, but also I am very like, as you can imagine, when I get like I want to do something, I just like, well, I'll just do it, and I've been increasingly I'll just do it. So for instance, when someone is tweeting a nice thread about, wow, I wish games could borrow a lot more from like the punk DIY music scene, and I'm like, I'm literally doing this, and then you never hear from that person again. You're like, my dude, you just wanted to tweet. You didn't actually want anything to change. You just wanted to tweet.
And like people all the time are talking about like where's the representation, and I'm like just look at the queer games bundle.
Right.
That's like 200 games right there, 300 or something.
Right. It's here's the thing, folks. It's everywhere. You don't have to like sneak into the deleted scenes of Infinity War and find two guys in the background. If you zoom in, it looks like they're kind of holding hands.
Yeah.
It's so obnoxious. And the thing is, this has always been something that bothered me about like my origin story for this sort of thing is I was a high schooler who watched 6 Feet Under. So it was like, it's you can just make stuff. If you want to make stuff queer, it exists. You don't have to.
Yeah, you just do it. You don't have to complain about. Disney is never going to be on your side.
Yes.
It's like Marvel is never going to be on your side. Just take a moment, step away from the superheroes, and maybe investigate maybe take a chance and try out some indie creators who you've never heard of, but who have their own stories to tell.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, people don't like to explore like itch.
No.
Like
Yeah.
I'm just realizing now that I'm like people don't actually use the like most people only like they don't actually search through things through the tags. They mostly just are like, oh, I heard about it in a tweet, or oh, so
Right.
and so told me about this, and that's why something a curation like Indiepocalypse is so cool because it's like, hey, you're highlighting some of the coolest games of like the month, and like it's like oh, it's like a best of list.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you're like already doing half the effort of searching the curation
Right.
part, and people are still like, please God, Disney, if you hear me, why won't you put two guys holding hands?
Yeah.
And like, oh
How do you now? The important question is how do you get people to pay attention to Apocalypse?
yeah,
That's the
like
tricky
what?
part.
It's like I hear you complaining. Why don't you just do something about it? Like so you heard me. I just talked about like 10 different projects in the same breath.
Yeah.
I just like if I want to do something, I just do it.
Right.
It's
right.
like
it's not
yeah.
hard. Like
That's like you are an agent. You are an agent in your own life. You have the power to do things.
Like you know how I got that Koosh bundle put together? I just like I went to the Koosh website and I found an email and I emailed the person. And,
Yeah, you just did it.
And then we said yes, it sounds like a cool idea. I found game developers and I emailed them. And then
Yeah.
they said yes, and then we put it all together. It's like what I'm saying is none of this is hard. It's like
Yeah. But like the thing is, most people don't even realize it's a thing you can do. It's like a
Yeah.
possibility because the world is so limited to It like teaches you that the only way you can get media is through Disney or Hulu or Marvel. That's the
Right.
only media out there, and like it's not.
right, and then they even at like the worst part, they immediately they like swoop in and dominate conversation, whether you like it or not. It's like, well, I
Yeah.
guess we're all talking about Space Jam for a week, whether. And this is my positive or negative. It's like here's the thing. I will not think of that movie. I will continue to not think about it, and my life will go unimpacted. That's a secret to mainstream culture, is that you don't actually have to care about it, and your life will be unimpacted.
Exactly. You're not going to be alienated or like I don't know, blacklisted because you didn't watch the new Marvel movie.
I've never gone to like a concert outside of like a small local like theater, and I feel like I've got plenty of music to listen to, and that my life isn't worse off.
Yeah, your life isn't worse off because you didn't see Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yeah. Carly Rae Jepsen's fine, I guess. I have a lot of opinions on Carly Rae Jepsen. Mostly
I
that
don't have any. I just know of her.
Yeah, okay. It feels like it's the musician for it's the dudes want to be like, I like girls too, and that's
true.
and
I think you're exactly right.
and I'm sure there's more to it than that, or like I'm sure that they like plenty of other female musicians as well. But that
Do
was
they?
like that maybe not, but yeah, it just became very much like a lightning rod to focus on, of like this is the one we all like to show that we're not all don't only like dudes with guitars.
Yeah,
It's like-
this is the acceptable. This is the one. This is the one men can acceptably like in public.
Yes, it's the indie Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, I like.
Sorry for taking up so much time.
No. This is we're actually just approaching the end of our 20 minutes here,
Oh, cool.
and it's coming to a natural point as I do not derail this and say I like pretty much all styles of music. Pop music is also fine. Pop as a genre is irrespective of like the amount of popularity that it has. I call a lot of things pop albums. I guess I don't know what pop music is. Really.
Yeah.
I remember telling a friend that I thought a friend and I were talking, and I said Merryweather Post Pavilion is basically a pop album, and I think that's not fully off base. Shout out in the comments. Let me know below. Is Merryweather Post Pavilion a pop album? I think it is. Basically, some of the songs are.
I've never heard of that.
Give it a listen. We'll talk about this eventually later, maybe. But me realizing that things that I assume artists that I assume everybody knows and they're incredibly basic. Turns out I'm just so far up my own ass that it's a thing with music. Once you dive in a little, you just like suddenly make a lot of assumptions about things. But we're gonna go on a break now for a moment. As we go to a break, when you listen to music, do you listen to albums or do you listen to an album or do you just listen to music like singles, shuffled, playlists, that sort of thing? What's your default state?
Are you asking me?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah, I love to listen to albums. Like I really like albums that feel like they tell a story.
Yes.
But because of something in my brain, I like read instrumental. So I parse instrumental songs as if they have lyrics.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll even go out to the point of googling, "Oh, Polyphia, bad. Does this lyrics?" And then I'm like, "What am I doing? It doesn't have lyrics. It's just an instrumental song."
Yes.
But like
No,
in my mind, it has lyrics,
Yes,
and like the whole album is telling like a story, and
Yes.
I'm really vibing with it. You should listen to Polyphia if you like complex melodies and baroque metal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have my current. I usually have like. I either listen to new music or I listen to rotation, or like I have one album in heavy rotation right now. There's been Twin Fantasy, which is also.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I always want to call them drive car headrest or whatever.
Yeah. Car seat headrest.
Yes.
Yes, the 2018 Twin Fantasy has been in heavy rotation. It's been between that and Ska Dream all summer, basically. But
Ska. Does Ska have a lot of trumpet?
It has horns. Listen, you're 1 week late for discussing ska. Maybe we can get to ska in the group session. We're gonna go to break. Everyone,
Okay.
I will be back in like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Goodbye.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Cut Copy with Zap. We are here with our second guest, who you may know from this very most recent issue of Indiepocalypse, with the cover illustration, which you will see if you're listening to me right now. Oh, there it is right now on the stream. Perfect, beautiful. It's Rain. Rain, also known as Small Witch. How you doing, Rain?
Good.
Perfect. That's the ideal way to be doing, I think. Really. Enough to answer the question, but not too much to prompt another is the ideal way I like to answer that question.
Very smooth.
I never want to be asked it. That's why I inflict it on everybody else.
Yeah, no, it's good to be the person starting the conversation so you can
Yes.
determine where the path leads.
Right. To the person going, wow, real muggy out today. So the other person has to be like, shit, what am I going to do with this information?
What can I combat muggy today with? Fuck.
I suppose it is.
Oh, good one.
Rain, how is it in your neck of the woods? Real muggy over there?
Don't do this to me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to attack you so frequently when you're just coming onto this show.
Taking a lot of damage here.
Yeah, this is. I hear they like people when people play games on Twitch.tv. So I'm trying to real. This is like a real gamer stream. So it's a lot of damage and like continues and other.
98% of what I watch on Twitch is Iron Chef Japan.
98% of what I watch on Twitch is muted Magic the Gathering streams.
That sounds really good too. I should add that to my rotation.
I like to think, what are they building over there? And go, that's neat. I like those cards. Those are cool.
That sounds great. I could probably learn something.
It is. But I'm a real shit poster kind of deck builder unless I want to win. So I tend to like.
I don't know the first thing about Magic, so I'm just coming in with a beginner's eye.
Oh, it's a fun and complicated game with there used to be a lot of really good art. Now the art is getting better, but for a long time it was very boring. It was very much like, I don't know, stock fantasy. Like we have a fantasy novel theoretically a person makes that kind of art, but it seems like it's just born, like someone harvested from a field or something. Like the idea that a person
They went out there with the scythe and they just, tilled the earth, cut some up.
yeah, the idea that a person had that inside of them is always bewildering to me.
There's some really incredible old, like I've bought old paperback fantasy novels solely for the covers.
Yes.
I mean, some of them are completely unreadable, but
I imagine a lot of old pulpy garbage is fully unreadable.
oh, there's some bad stuff out there.
Listen, we had to do something with all this writing inside of us before we had AO3.
Might as well publish it.
Yeah. That is like, I mean, I guess I say that as a joke, but I suppose it's true, right? Because
It is true. It is. Well, I mean, zines have been around for a really long time, so.
Yeah. Before we could just publish whatever we want on the internet, we had to do something with it. So I
Had to
guess
get
we
it
just,
out of us in impure ways.
Yeah, so it's like go to the local craft fair and get my Kirk Spock zines. I feel like I saw some recently posted online, like some very old vintage Kirk Spock fan fiction zines or something.
That would be just a delicious vintage.
But so tell me a little bit, Rain. Tell me a little bit about zines. It says here in your biography that you're currently residing in zine hell.
I'm got my nose to the grindstone right now, getting ready for my local zine fest. And I'm a super procrastinator.
Yeah.
Only get things done if there's a deadline imposed by another human being other than myself. So I've got like 3 or 4 things I'm just working on trying to get ready by August 7th.
Okay, see, now you say August 7th, I'm like, that's an eternity away. You got so much time.
It's like a week.
Well, we're in the middle of July. You got forever, basically.
Yeah, no, I'll be fine.
I say as the person who, like, plans everything a month in advance because I hate working so much.
It's hard. It's rough.
I guess I have the opposite approach where I hate working so much that I do all the work right away so I don't have to do it anymore.
I just do a little bit of work all the time.
Okay.
Always. That's my method.
Yeah. So it's a good method, really.
It's not. It's actually really, really bad.
Oh no! I would assume.
I don't suggest it to anyone.
I would assume doing a little every now and then lets you sprinkle in leisure and healthy lifestyle, as opposed to.
No. I didn't say a little bit every now and then. I said a little bit all the time.
Oh, okay. So,
always working a little bit. The healthy thing to do would be to just sit down and get the work done and then go relax.
Yeah.
But instead, you can work a little bit while you relax a little bit, and then you don't actually do either thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've had that problem for sometimes where I work constantly, and then I'm like, oh, I need to take a break, and
yeah. It's either ADHD or a demon. I can't be sure.
Right. It sounds like it'd be expensive to have someone tell me something was wrong with my brain. So I prefer to just continue living on how I am.
It literally is so expensive, honestly. Like, if I can be completely candid for a moment.
Yes.
It's so expensive, and also the test for adult ADHD is like 8 hours long, which is hilariously cruel.
Yes. Okay. So yeah. So where do I now? I have to find 8 hours in addition to finding.
Yes. And you those are eight billable hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, no, I prefer to recognize that whatever is scooting around in my brain does not inhibit me enough that I can't live my life, and I would be happier with the dollar, as they say.
Fair enough.
But that's so. Rain, important question on this video game radio show. Well, you're as a non-game developer. What is your opinion on So you're like an anomaly in this case because we don't know. What do you think about video games?
I'm an absolute freak to have here among these game developers.
Do you-
I
have you-
love a video game.
Okay.
I love a video game. Absolutely.
So what's the lucky video game?
Let's see. The only thing that I have been playing for probably the last year has been Stardew Valley.
Okay.
Because I'm a sicko for Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
But I will be jumping back into Skyward Sword now that the re-release is out for that. I owe my entire art career to the Zelda game series.
Yeah.
So I do love games a lot. Copying art out of the Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons and Ages, like Prima Game Guide, was how I got started.
Oh. I wish you're saying to someone who would copy art out of the Final Fantasy VIII Prima game guide.
Yeah. So early origins.
But was far too uncomfortable a child to actually practice drawing and regretting it later in life.
I have this like crystal clear, like solid memory of drawing this like a picture of the goddess Nehru.
Yeah.
The time goddess, and some other kid was just like, "Wow, did you draw that?" And like, I in that moment, I was just like, I will chase this feeling for the rest of my life. And like that was it. I was locked in.
Yeah, listen, I feel it's got to be an immense rush, and then later, so after you get this immense rush, how does it feel when people are like, "Wow, how would you like to design on my Twitch emotes for free?" And
fortunately, I don't have a lot of people asking me to work for free. I think I've put out a spicy enough persona online that
truly
people don't ask me for free work anymore.
Yeah.
It definitely used to happen, but yeah, I'm pretty fortunate, and most of my clients are absolutely incredible. It's been a long time. I think I haven't had a client I would want to fist fight since like 2016, probably.
Wow. I prefer to fist fight all of my hires, just as like a rite of passage. But I'll remember that. I like to. I feel like you don't really know someone until you've spilt blood with them. You know.
That's maybe. I like to keep my blood inside.
That's actually a very good suggestion. And as like I used to have a lot of nosebleeds, and I haven't had any, and I'm going to chalk that up recently. I'm going to say that's also a success of the mask. In addition to never getting sick and a million other things of my health feeling great for a year, 2 years almost.
I love how it took, and I say love extremely sarcastically,
Yes.
love how it took this global pandemic for Americans to realize that it is not weird to wear a mask when you are sick or around like hundreds of other people.
Yeah. And it's like, wow, you can go, instead of getting a cold every single year, you can go a year without ever getting a cold.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I don't hate masks, that's for sure. I don't mind it.
And I think among a certain demographic of people, they will continue to wear them. They will continue to get boutique masks off of Etsy, and at least those people will not wear them, and it'll be nice. But a bunch of other
as long as they work.
Yeah, I've also seen a bunch of real sickos. Not the good kind of sicko, but like the bad kind of sicko who's a sick person, not like someone who looks through a window excitedly.
Anti-spirals.
Yes. And I've already seen them out there coughing and sneezing. I'm like, buddy, what are you doing? Didn't you learn anything? Just put on a mask. That's it. You're sick.
Just put on a mask.
I don't care if you just have a cold and you're vaccinated. I don't want your sickness near me.
Just get back in the house.
Yeah, go back to your house. I've seen people really like, at least in my neck of the woods, there was that like, no masks anymore. We're living free, and then people like Delta like, oops, let's start wearing masks again. I have seen like a notable like uptick in masks again, which feels.
So I haven't seen it here, but I think that it's like as soon as the you don't have to wear a mask in stores anymore went out, people were like burning them. It felt like people are really wild about it here. But I also live in the state where people were planning to like kidnap the governor and keep her on a boat because they think that she has some amount of power more than she does, and they were pissed about masks or something. So
yeah, that's. I live in the second most vaccinated state in the country, so I'm a little
wow.
on the opposite end of that spectrum. Actually, wow, holy shit, dude. New England, really rocking it.
That's impressive.
The whole 1, 2, 3, the whole top 5 is all New England.
Wow, killing it over there.
I know.
For killing the virus, I mean.
We are. No, we're not even letting that thing live. We're like, a virus, go to your house. We don't want you around here.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Fuck you, dude. Fuck, yeah. Oh, fuck out of here.
We're living here. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, fuck out. Nah, dude, guess in my life, I've never met a dude with a fucking Boston accent, but I love it. I love the sound of it. I love the fucking indignation of it all. Such a beautiful, racist shithole of a city. Whatever. It's the real complications of New England.
Oh, America.
The home of Howard Phillips himself. That real piece of shit.
I don't know who that is.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh!
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, no need to drag old racist cosmic horror authors. He's already long dead. And they got rid of the award that was his face, I think.
I can't believe that anyone would ever make an award that's just another person's face. It's so gross.
Yeah, it's very, very weird. And he doesn't even have a good face.
The only I will say that the Taskmaster is allowed, just because that's clearly to fuck with them.
Yeah. I think is the Mark Twain Award a bust of Mark Twain? I think.
I don't know, but probably.
But I don't remember. But he's got a weird face that's kind of cartoonish at this point. Rain, if you had to receive an award, what would you say you're most likely to receive an award for? If you were to be nominated for such an award.
We'll say that the one I currently have my sights on is an Ignatz.
That's Ignatz.
Yeah, I gotta get me one of them. Gotta make something that would be worth one, and then win one.
Ooh,
and then maybe I will sleep good. So that's the goal right now.
You the real problem is that first step.
The real problem is that I was supposed to have it done by now.
Oh, yes, that's...
and then pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And then I gave myself a lot of slack, and the book is still not done. But I have to debut it next year at Chicago Alternative Comic Convention. I don't know why my brain just autofills Comic Con like that. That's real
good.
Gross.
That's good branding, baby.
But yeah, I gotta get this book done, or I'm gonna freak out.
I personally love Small Press Comic Con. It's my favorite East Coast show. My local comics show, Mice Comic Con, is they're doing an outdoor event.
Oh.
Kind of like a limited outdoors event, and I love that show. It's like last time I went there, I think I spent upwards of $100 on comics.
Yeah, so you got 3 books. That rules.
No, I got like 10. I bought zines and mini comics.
Good.
I have a milk crate for those.
Oh, fuck yeah. I've got, oh man. Ooh, a lot of shelves. I've got a lot of shelves and boxes and some stands. I got a lot of zines.
Yeah, I need to eventually have stacks of milk crates of zines. Well, not milk crates. I got one of those nice office supply store like milk crates that has the right size for file folders and all that. But
Fuck, what are those called? A file box.
yeah, a file milk crate. It's got the holes in it still.
You know, for file milk.
Yes, for my milk zines and minis.
I'm trying to think if I have a milk zine.
I don't either about the dairy or the man.
Yeah, I have an egg zine that's
Okay.
really incredible.
What?
It's very short, and it's like an almost horny devil talking about wet, runny eggs that he makes at his bed and breakfast. It's
Okay.
really incredible.
What a I remember like my first experience with like let's get real into alternative comics, or like when I first went to Mice and I got a oh no, I run into the situation where I'm realizing that I have to say her name out loud and I don't know how to pronounce it. Is Julia, you know, it's help.
I can't help you here.
It's Gforer.
You gotta type it in the chat, and I'll try and help you.
I'll type it in the.
Throw you
I'll pull it in the chat. But anyway, you just reminded me because there's a Baphomet in that, and it's very horny. It's all like very horny gothic stuff, and I'm a big fan of her general work. And folks, that's why you need to support small press. And I meant to get on Twitter about such a thing, but oops, I put it in the Twitch chat. Oops. Wrong chat. But
Hey, that works too. I don't know how to pronounce
yeah,
that.
it's fine when you're like.
I'm actually just gonna push you deeper underwater so you don't have to suffer for that.
Thank you. It's fine when you're with friends and you can recognize that you're goofing on someone's name, but when you're just in the world, you don't have that understanding of respect, and that you're just like, well, no, I actually really enjoy this person's work, but I just don't know how to say their name. But anyway, the Ignatz is a brick, right?
It is. It's just a literal brick. I want it so bad.
It's a beauty, a real. I should get into comics, so I can get. I need to learn how to draw. Then I need to find a comic to make, and then I can win an Ignatz as well. So I have a brick.
You're on the exact same starting point as I am, then.
Beautiful. As we are approaching the end of our time here, Rain, I believe.
Oh shit! Did I have any questions?
We have this. Not you specifically, but we can power through the same questions that were received earlier, which is actually the fairies one was very specific, so not that one.
That is very specific. That one's not for me.
And we'll skip the game development part of this, but that question from Meg, which is the first part of your creative process, where do you start in your creative process?
Ooh, I guess it depends on if I'm doing something for a client or myself.
Yeah.
If I'm starting with a client, it's all about what they want the end product to be.
So say a client would email you and say, hey, as long as you write this one word on this illustration, you can just do whatever you want.
Oh, that happens all the time, actually.
Yeah, so it's like, what is your process there then? When it's like very open-ended, kind of like a mixture between the two.
Okay, well, actually, perfect example. I finished a commission for some album art recently.
Yeah.
It was actually just for 2 bonus songs off of like a Bandcamp album. So with that, they just had the name of the 2 songs and then like their artist name. That was the only information they gave me. So usually when something like that is so open-ended, I'll ask, do you have any like colors or anything that you specifically are into right now? But for like a music-based project, I just listen to the album like on repeat and do a bunch of sketches as I'm listening to whatever the work is. And then, offer the sketches up to the client and let them pick based on that. So this last one was an ambient album, so it was really fun to just sit back and listen to that. It ended up drawing something that had a lot of like cartograph vibes. It was really mappy.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like breathiness, a lot of like a breathing. He used his voice as an instrument a lot, along with like electronic sounds and things like that. But I don't know, it just gave me like big ocean vibes. So yeah, I usually start with something like that, listening to the piece, or if I'm doing something for a game, like going through the game itself once, or seeing like demo runs that other people have done, things like that.
Okay. Does it? What is the artist? Since this, I think, is in my dream world, this is more a pirate radio talk show. What's this artist's name for this album?
Hold on, I gotta look it up.
Yeah. Okay. And while you look it up, I'll just say, because I watched a video recently while talking about album covers, about stumbled upon. Turns out, as there are a million famous YouTubers that you can constantly stumble upon, Nathan Zed had a video about album covers, and he's talking about like how album covers are still like some of the wildest shit, and you can just like even like really famous pop album covers can just be like this weird last bastion of artistic expression in media, when like movie covers and posters and game covers and posters and all that stuff is like becoming increasingly plain and like lazy not lazy, but you know what I mean, rather simplistic Photoshop jobs of actors standing in a diamond shape or whatever.
Yeah, I really enjoy doing album covers. It's a lot of fun. Like it can be stressful trying to, like, music is so hard to advertise. It's it's so incredibly hard, because I feel like it's one of the only things where you can't give a sample of it to someone without being somewhat like invasive. And like visually representing a band can like make or break their shit. It's like, I've rebranded bands before that just didn't have a lot of attention because it looked like they were doing stuff. I don't know. It's like if you're a bunch of adults, but your stuff looks like you just are graduating high school or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
If that's not the intended vibe, it puts people off. I'm still looking for this person's name because I archived.
Well, we can find it later. You'll be back, but before we go, I have to ask you a very important question, which is, speaking about music, is Ray Weather Post Pavilion a pop album?
Man, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Fuck. Who is that?
You people, you goddamn people. It's anyway. Albums. Do you prefer to listen to music just like I feel like I'm leading the question by calling it really Nearly style or an album straight front to back, but you get what I'm asking.
Certain albums I feel are perfectly crafted and need to be listened to in a whole, or can be listened to in a whole. Other ones, I feel like based on the song arrangement, they're forcing me at gunpoint to not listen to certain songs, and I, pick and choose.
Right.
Like you mentioned Ska Dream. That's also just been like extremely heavy rotation. That's a full all the way through.
Yeah, it has a narrative arc.
Like I don't know if you ever listened to Pup, but like every Pup album, those are full all the way through. Those are straight bangers, no miss songs.
I've got to listen. Pup is. Like I said earlier, I usually will listen. I listen to a lot of music. I basically listen to every album Bandcamp suggests, plus anything I find loosely. So I will maybe add Pup into a re-listen column.
Pup is so good.
I usually like, if I like them, I will I will like the first song so I can go back to that later. Pup is in that big pile, but it's also a very big pile.
That is a big pile, but yeah, no, they're great.
Okay, so before we get much like the last segment, before we get far too derailed talking about music again, as I want to do, we're going to go to a break. Ryan, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to see everyone else on the other half of 3 minutes and 36 seconds, give or take. Welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Destroyer with Dark Leaves Form a Thread. And truly, I agree with both 2012 and 2018 versions of Will Toledo, which I would love. I would not mind either Frank Ocean or Dan Behar's voice. They're exceptionally fun to sing along to. Dan Behar, especially, I love really just like getting into his shit and just like when he goes out there. Anyway, we are here with our last guest of the show, who you may know from issue 7 of Indiepocalypse with Legend of the Nine Rings. It is Christian Young. Christian, how you doing?
I am doing pretty good.
Oh, fantastic. And I got to ask, really important question. Let's get out of the gate. You know it. You'll love to hear it. Do you know what Merryworth Approach Pavilion is?
No.
Okay. We'll deal with this thing later. Anyway, now the real important question, which is, how did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
Believe it or not, it actually showed up on my featured jams list in itch.io.
Oh, perfect. I think that might be some of it because, oh my god. Sorry, I was on twitter.com and it's the only time I'm monitoring this website, I saw a buck tie towel. I was like, what? Why can't I have a buck tie towel? Anyway, oh my god, it's such a, never mind, it's actually really good because sun and all that. But anyway, buck tie towels aside, if you were to have a piece of merch to go with your game that was non-game related, what would it be?
Honestly, for that game, probably nothing. I don't think it's worth it.
Oh, don't give yourself that.
For a more developed and probably successful game, I'd likely go with like a figurine or something.
Okay. Now, success is a complicated term, let's say, within the indie space. Especially. Yeah. Especially within, I've seen people feel a degree of success being within Indiepocalypse, and I'm like, power to you, I suppose.
That's me, kind of.
Yeah.
But in this sense, I mean success where money from a game could pay for its own merch, and then that merch would sell.
Right, or even...
It doesn't have to be a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it could be 5 figurines. I'd count that as success.
Yeah, I think I was talking to someone who's like some merch distributor, and they were telling me what someone was like, oh, we want merch for our games, and they were like, nobody knows about this, nobody cares about it, we can't make merch for things that nobody knows about. And there was like a thing that
and
had
we were
been
like, hey,
I
I know, but hey.
Yeah, I had seen that person, and I've seen like that game around, and it seemed like, that's a success story, sort of. They got picked up by publishing, I guess, but that doesn't make people care about your thing at all.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of why I'm trying to sort of elevate this DIY space. I think that's what I'm.
It's a tough job.
I think that's what I was just speaking to someone within DMs, and they've referred to as like garage development or DIY, and I think DIY is really kind of maybe the direction to take the language, maybe.
Hopefully. I think it definitely has a more positive connotation than garage development.
Yeah.
But hey, that's how Apple got started, so
yeah.
Who knows?
But indie is so corrupted as a term; it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah. Now, indie used to be kind of a sign of respect, kind of like indie filmmaking.
Yeah.
Now it's just you're one of the crowd, one of the deluge.
But we never had even indie filmmaking, like, I guess in terms of like what it was producing.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of good indie stuff out there. There's also a lot of bad.
Yeah.
But
I never felt there was like that strong. Aesthetically speaking, there wasn't like a similar movement within games.
No. The very few indie games that kind of gained that level of awareness did not bother to share that awareness with the rest of us.
Right. I would not consider Braid to be a comparison point to like Stranger Than Paradise. You know,
No.
they're going for very
Mhm.
different things. I
And I
almost
mean, even now, even AAA games kind of are having a hard time beating the critics.
yeah, but
So it's not like even more money is the answer.
no, it's an interesting thing because I think this the reason I was one of the other reasons I was thinking about like art to go back to segment one in games is
Hmm.
I think a lot of games feel like toys. You know,
Yeah, kind of like one-off things that you play with for a while, and then
yeah,
you're like, yeah,
because
I
I
see that.
saw I forget what I was talking about or why I started looking up things, but I came across a quote from Will of Car Seat Headrest, and he was talking about like he makes music, where people who make music have something inside of them they need to get out. If they did it, they wouldn't make music, or
Hmm.
something to that effect. And it was like, yes, I don't feel that with a lot of games because like, who has that? Because they're like toys, and who has that feeling with a toy? Who's like,
Hmm.
Mr. Potato Head is inside of me. I need to get him out, or else I don't know how I'll function.
There's a lot of places you could go with that.
Like it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. I'm a big supporter of the games as art movement,
Yeah,
and I don't think there's enough games that truly are art.
yeah,
Um, and I think that's one of the big detractions from that movement is that it's a valid movement to be sure, and it's one that I think is definitely needed. But then there's not enough actual artists. Uh,
right. Games as arts often
yeah.
to mildly belittle them. It's like it's a
Hmm.
game about sadness, but it's a puzzle platformer that looks painterly. And it's like
Yeah.
art
Yeah. It's
games.
like,
They
wait a minute.
they have one
Tonal
mode.
inconsistency, anyone?
What was that?
Um, tonal inconsistency.
Yeah, it's like it's supposed to be a game, I guess. So it's a puzzle platformer, but it's about
Hmm.
depression, I guess.
Yeah. Huh. How's that going?
Yeah,
But it's sad because it's such a uh, I want to say a potential filled medium
yeah,
because there's so many different artistic elements to it. There's obviously the visuals, there's sound, there's the whole 3D versus 2D, where you have some great pixel art, some great 2D vector art, and
yeah,
then also 3D. You have games like Breath of the Wild that are on a completely different level visually speaking, and that's not even getting into the music, but even kind of from a programming angle, you can have some really beautiful code.
yeah.
That's obviously a very STEM kind of beauty, but um,
But I think you can feel the
you know,
outcome of that even sometimes. Like
yeah,
there's an elegance to like the way something
yeah,
that intangible feeling of this moves very well, or it has a
hmm
things snap together meaningfully, or it has
like
like
a Blue Fire, a new platformer that came out, I think maybe
okay.
a month ago. Very nice movement.
Yes, I think I am sort of vaguely. I listen. I play old games in these around these parts
Hmm.
because um, I bought a lot of them a long time ago, and I feel like I need to play through them. So
I know what you mean.
I've been like and I get interested in like I'm very interested in RPGs lately,
Hmm.
specifically RPGs of the turn-based Japanese origin, and I'm like trying.
So, like beginning with the very first Final Fantasy and moving on, kind of thing.
Yeah, I've been going like a little like off the beaten or slightly more off the beaten path, having played
Like
like every Final
Chrysalis.
Fantasy. I've been playing through all of Breath of Fire.
Ah,
I'm on to the fourth one as of right now. I hear the fifth one gets kind of wild, and I'm really looking forward to it. Like it just does some weird stuff. I guess
mm-hmm.
it's like a roguelike or something.
I think so, if I recall. It's been a while.
But speaking of 2D art, like especially like 3 and 4. I really all the games. I'm sure that's something to do with Capcom during the time period.
Yeah,
But
yeah. They produced a lot of good art.
they're like exception. There's so much character. Like there's so much character in each one of those like
Hmm.
sprites. Like you understand who the characters are just by watching them animate.
Which is an art in itself,
Yeah.
really.
It's something I think. I mean, that fighting games do the best of like any genre. It's like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
we need to convey a character purely through animations.
Detail through minimalism.
Yeah, and to see it in like an RPG that it's such a it
Mhm.
adds a lot more time. It's why all those Final Fantasy dudes are like the same sprite with the same shape and just differently colored.
And yeah. Uh-huh.
But
Reskinning. Don't like it, but sometimes it is necessary.
yeah, when you have your grand, ambitious world across. I mean, when you think about it,
And then,
Final Fantasy VI is kind of ambitious.
yeah. Yeah.
When like we step.
But
outside.
hey, all's better for them, right?
Yeah, when we step outside of it and it's like, oh, they like rebuilt the map halfway through the game. It's like interesting from a storytelling angle that you like lose the game halfway through or a third of the way. I don't know the time exactly. I think
Mhm.
it's more interesting than nostalgia gives it credit for. I think nostalgia is a problem with analyzing games, but that's a whole issue.
Yeah. And that's always going to be an issue.
Yeah.
You know, like 30 years from now, we're going to have children growing up on the games we're making and talking about them nostalgically.
Yes.
And we're going to be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What are you even talking about?
Right. It's like what we have to like find a way to divorce ourselves. I mean, part of that comes like games as a monoculture, so like you're nostalgic for everything because everything's part of this singular culture that we all have within games. So there's no like they don't exist outside of it, and
Yeah.
so it's more difficult to have like it's like how do you approach something that you have like no frame of reference for when everybody talks about everything.
Yeah. That's, I think, one of the big things that's kept gaming kind of separate from a lot of pop culture for a while. Gaming Steam now, but it's taken a while.
Yeah, I think we were talking about it last episode about how kind of like criticism is only like kind of exists in games, and like now even only kind of exists.
Mm-hmm.
But it came up in the same time of like blogging, and it kind of like screwed it all up.
Yeah.
But anyway, games, all that to the
Games are
waste.
fun. I like it.
To the wayside. I have a question for you. You may be familiar with this question as well. Let me make sure there's no new questions coming in. This is also from once again Meg. Game development. What is your first part of your creative process? Where do you prefer to start?
Well, I don't know off the top of my head. It's usually with some sort of general concept. Like, as an example, the game I submitted to Indiepocalypse 7 was the original Zelda game as a Metroidvania,
Yeah.
which, and then I kind of went off of that. I wanted to try to differentiate it from later Metroidvanias, because even though the original Legend of Zelda is a Metroidvania in its own right, it has a different feel than a lot of modern Metroidvanias,
Yeah.
and that's what I was trying to emulate. Even really great ones like Hollow Knight, even I want to say kind of Celeste to some extent, even though it's less a Metroidvania and more just a traditional platform.
Right.
And so it's usually some sort of general concept like that, or I have a kind of world that I've built in my head, and I want to do something in that.
Okay.
and then I just figure out what would be a good game to make in that world.
All right. Yeah. Interesting. Now, do you have any experience with um, Zelda randomizers?
I have experience watching them on Games Done Quick.
Okay, because I think that really it's that the randomizer really exemplifies like what you said of like how it is a Metroidvania, but it works sort of differently.
Yeah,
Like it shows like
and
Zelda is a game of all these different like tools and parts.
yeah, I'm not exactly sure what it is that makes it different from other Metroidvanias. I don't think I succeeded quite as much as I had hoped in that, but
But that's art.
I'm still looking at it. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, that just means it's kind of original, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. If listen, there's as someone who edits games and curates them, I think there is nothing better than finding fault within your own games. Because the people who I've encountered
Mm-hmm.
who seem to find no fault within their games or that kind of thing, they're putting out the real dreck of the world. You know, it's real. Just
That applies everywhere,
Yeah.
not just in games.
yeah. I think so. I think that self-awareness is very helpful.
Self-awareness, knowing your own shortcomings,
Yeah,
is the most.
it's like that other
Hopefully.
radio host said at one point, realizing that you're shitty means you're good actually.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
But so Metroidvania. So I can't. Okay, so now, Christian, I have a real philosophical question for you. I don't know if you have an answer for it, or if you're quite prepared for it. But why do we call them Metroidvanias when really either one of Metroid or Castlevania perfectly applies? It is not a combination of the two, really.
Yeah. Probably because those were the two big examples at the time when the genre was being invented.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is like Metroid. That's like Castlevania. And the word Mevania sounds weird, so let's just call it Metroidvania. Metvania.
Wait
Or
a minute.
Castle Rule. No.
Wait a minute. Oh no. Did I find the answer? Okay. I think I have to do some internet research on this because did people call Symphony of the Night Metroidvania and then that just became the generic term?
That sounds about right.
That does. I think we talked about this last episode. Either actually guess of was it last episode or the episode before? I do so many of these I don't remember. But Yori was on the show, and they actually made a reverse etymology game and put it up on itch because we were talking about the idea of reverse engineering etymologies, and like I just did in this moment in reverse engineering that. And I like the way that sounds. Whether that's too clean, it finally settled that demon for me at the very least. But let me welcome to being Christian. Welcome to being the third guest where I have forgotten to look at the time and now I have to do math real quick. And go, let's see, so 40 plus because once it ticks over an hour, I'm like, ah, shit, math. But anyway, speaking of math, your game is judging by its title screen, I'm assuming created an RPG Maker.
Yes.
So, do you come from like a more of a design background? Because I think that you're kind of people who tend to be drawn, like myself, are drawn to more less intensive engines. When we're like,
I really did. Our RPG Maker was my first. I want to say foray into the world of game design.
Yeah.
And it still is the main engine that I work in. simply because I'm too lazy to learn an actual language other than JavaScript.
Whatever.
But I have gotten into actually programming my own engines in what's the Pixelbox? It's a framework on itch. Really,
Okay.
really nice, really clean. Uses Node.js for its handling and setup and everything. Very nice. And I've used that a lot to program my own stuff. But yes, RPG Maker is the big uh, how shall we say influence
Yeah.
in my very short game making.
Have you now? Now this is a important question. Do you have you? So for people out there, well, I would be, you know, I need to mention as well. If you out there in the world have RPG Maker, if you have a PlayStation 2 out there, everyone, I have got a copy on my desk. I'm looking at it right now. It is called RPG Maker 2. It says designers wanted right on it. We are looking for designers. I'll mention this again later, but basically I want to say I need to get a PS2 or a second PS2 to mail around, because asking people to have one, I think, is a big ask. I'm realizing is a larger ask than I thought originally.
Mm-hmm.
But so if you're out there in Radio Land are like, wow, I have a PlayStation 2 and I'm interested in game design, I would love to be part of an Exquisite Corpse RPG Maker 2 game that's on a PlayStation 2 so that people can't easily play it. So you can only play it by bringing PS2 to conventions and bringing your memory cards and being like, you got that RPG Maker game? And they're like, yeah, I do. And then you share, and like, what version do you have? I have...
Oh, well, I only use XP.
No, because they'll be like, I have the July 2022 edition. Like, oh, shit, cool, I have the January 2022. Can I get the update on that game? And it's just, like, shared. It's never online. I think that's neat.
Good. Yeah.
But...
There's a certain charm to inconvenience.
Yes. We call that art where I come from. Art is called, hey, I hope you have 4 hours to spend to watch this woman do nothing around her house. We call it art cinema. Speaking of art...
Sounds a bit like Twitch to me.
Oh no, this is more important. This is real beautiful. They don't... I mean, Okay, so this is a really important question, everyone. Is oh no. How did the film leave me? How did it... I'm looking at it. I know what it looks like. I know the director's name. How did I forget the name of the movie? I say it on this show all the time. Chantal Ackerman. Jean Dielman. Is Jean Dielman the first IRL Twitch stream created into a film? Who knows?
You know, it actually could be.
Are you familiar with Jean Dielman?
I've read about it online.
Okay.
Never watched it.
Well, I hope you have 4 hours.
I like that. I like that comparison though.
Yeah. It's if you like 4 hours in peeling potatoes and polishing shoes.
Yeah.
It's
that's mostly why I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I joke about this movie, but like it was truly like. I also set aside my movie times, and I was like, I did not realize it was 4 hours when I started it, so I ended up watching it, across 2 nights, like an hour one night and 3 hours the next night. But truly, it stuck with me in a way that I think about it constantly, or not constantly, but in a way that you think anyone thinks about things constantly. It's like, wow, that truly impacted me. Art is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I have gifs of it, but currently not on this stream. If you hear sometimes, I've got some good. It's got some, anyway. Speaking of art, as we're approaching the end of our segment, our time here with our one-on-one, Christian, I need to ask you about albums and music. How do you listen to those things?
as an album.
Okay. I know I self-selected. The real Indiepocalypse is a real self-selecting collection of pretentious weirdos. And I love all these
That's
pretentious
a
fucking...
weirdo.
I love the pretentious weirdos. And everyone out there, be more pretentious. Thank you, Christian, for being here.
Thank you.
We will be back with the big old group hang in about a minute and 20 seconds. We got a short one coming up. Thank you for joining us for this long. Welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Los Campesinos with... It started with a mix. I got back into listening to some of them more recently. I was worried for a second. I was like, oh, I listened to a lot of Los Campesinos around like the time they were contemporary, but I worried they would be too cringe in 2021. Folks, I'm glad to tell you that. I mean, maybe they are. I don't know, but I still like them. It's real, like... I like... What's the genre of music that's, like, sarcastic?
Just like sarcastic yelling, like the front bottoms.
Yeah. Or like, for me, like, 2019 was, like... I listened to a lot... Was it 2019? I listened to whatever year that Sydney... Yeah, it must have been 2019. I listened to, like, Sidney Gish's No Dogs Allowed, like, a lot. And that is...
I haven't heard of that one.
I
think so far the only people I've clocked that you've mentioned are Los Campesinos and Drive Car Headrest.
Car Seat Headrest.
Car Seat Headrest. Car Seat Headrest, yes.
You're not, so not familiar... You're saying you're not familiar... A Cut Copy, we also have Cut Copy, and you don't know just...
I know Cut Copy, I think. They have a song named Elisa, maybe?
Yeah, they do, yes.
Yes, that one. I know.
I think famous game developer Bennett Foddy was in Cut Copy for like an album doing synth work or something.
Wow.
I think he was. Was he on like Bright Like Neon Love? He was on one of them. Those albums, one of those first ones. I think doing synths or keyboards.
Yeah.
Anyway, more people need. If I get anyone into the goal of this radio show is to, number one, get people into Azusa Plain. And
I have no idea what you're on about.
Azusa Plain, it's like he no longer with us, as they say. I never know how to phrase that, because I have no issue with saying that people have died, but publicly there's always a very much like a passed away.
Yeah, it's like you can't say he fucking dead.
He is though, but he left me on
sometimes people, it happens to the best of us.
Yes, death comes for us all, everyone. As bleak as it sounds, bleak as it is.
Yeah,
it's the great equalizer.
It really is.
But anyway, he did very exceptional like ambient work with just like a Fender guitar and all sorts of.
Wow.
Fed through machines. It's very, very good. I really like it. I got like this whole Rocket Girl, I think, is the label that put out his stuff posthumously of like 90 songs or something. You can also get on Spotify. You can listen to a whole like 9-hour.
9 hours?
Hell yeah!
It's exceptionally long. I always forget the name of it. Where the sand turns to gold. I found it.
Hold on, I have to look that up now. What kind of music is that?
It's like droning, ambient kind of like, but also it's like.
Oh, I see.
Like Death of a Microphone has got like these really like intense drums. Also, it's just like I'm very bad at describing what music is sometimes because, as you said, like symphonic. Fucking Baroque metal or something earlier. It's all nonsense when you really dig into it.
It really is. Hold on, I accidentally unplugged my mic.
The band I opened the show with was Current 93, which is, I think their Wikipedia page classifies them as apocalyptic folk.
Yeah, it's just nonsense. When you categorize music, it's just nonsense.
Yeah. Also,
you just slap some adjectives together, and then you're a music critic.
exactly. And now that I've gone out and purchased a copy of Perfect Thunder Mind, current 93, I'm gonna hope maybe I'll be on heavy rotation.
Do you have a vinyl player or a turntable?
I do, yeah. I don't use it very often, but I do have it.
I want to get one because I'm gonna master Wireline S's track and Ochitsubaki and get them on vinyl so I can have them and listen to them.
I think.
Oh damn! I just solved my issue
Yeah.
of what to put on the empty space of my dresser.
Perfect.
I'm gonna get a turntable and
Yeah.
a cassette player. Wow.
I don't have a very good one, so I don't listen to it very often. Also, because you have to like go over to it and like flip it over and stuff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I have very good ears.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be worth the investment.
Yeah.
But for some reason I just haven't, done it.
I got like a cheap $40 one. And the only one where I felt I noticed a significant difference was what was it called? All Hell West Texas.
Oh wow.
Where it
That sounds familiar.
All Hell West Texas, the Mountain Goats album, like the last,
Yes, that sounds familiar. Yes,
the last of the lo-fi, the lo-fi, was it the lo-fi send off? I'm trying to get the chronology right. I think it was like his final like cassette release, but it sounded like I was sitting next to a guy and he was playing his music into a boombox.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Wait, no, that's remastered. Spotify, you're a real piece of shit because it's all it shows like remasters and not to get into the weeds of things, but it did not come before Beat the Champ. I have to use Anyway, we're talking too much about specific bands. Anyway, I felt like there was something I wanted to mention before when I got back into this group segment, but I forgot what it was.
Oh no. Oh no.
It's
Elevator music while you remember.
It's lost of the time. There's something gonna be music, but I don't remember. Anyway, Merryweather Post Pavilion is an Animal Collective album.
Wait, Animal Collective? I've heard of that.
Okay.
It's like if you trace their lineage of like very early it was very noisy, like no lyrics at all, and you kind of see this like. Occasionally like to go through and listen to like an artist's full lineage, especially if I came into them at like the most accessible entry point, or like the most popular entry point, which was in my case Merryweather Post Pavilion.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, that album looks cool.
It does look. I just looked up the cover of it. It's pretty cool.
I think it's by a famous Japanese designer who does a lot of like that kind of like trick of the eye patterned art.
Oh, I think my kitty is crying. I have to take care of her. I gotta
Okay.
go.
Okay.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Oh, goodbye. Thanks for being here. Oh,
Whoa.
that was abrupt.
That was extremely abrupt.
Oh, wow.
Well, and then there was two.
There was. It was just. Oh no, what did I? It dwindled down. So to plug their stuff. Christian, if you didn't notice, he left during. Had already left. As you can see by the absence. So let me delete them. So maybe this is Rain. Maybe we're gonna spin down the show then, considering there are now just the two of us.
Well, okay. Sometimes things happen.
Yeah. This segment is this final area is always a real up in the air kind of thing. Of, do you have any burning topics you'd like to talk about at the time? Any things you just got to get off your mind and into the world?
I loved what you guys were talking about in the first segment. If you want to make stuff, just make it.
Yeah.
The representation that you need and want is out there, but no one is going to put it directly under your nose because that's not going to make them money. So you do have to look for it still, unfortunately.
Yeah, but let I tell you,
Yeah.
folks, it's literally everywhere.
There's lots of good stuff out there. All kinds of people are making all kinds of things, and the art that you want is being made by your peers and friends.
Yeah.
And invest in the people around you and your own community and your friends and the art they want to make. And don't try and form parasocial relationships with content creators online.
Yes.
I think are cool.
That is
just hang out with your friends and make stuff.
Yeah, form parasocial relationships with your friends.
Yes. Form social relationships with your friends.
Oh, right, that is what they call those. What is it called when I have a friend though, but I only stare at like their Instagram all day and never talk to them?
Pandemic.
Yes. But I mean, within your own, we talked about this during one of these segments. People talk about forgetting what they talk about their own podcasts. I forget during the show itself.
It's impossible to know. You black out the second you're on air.
Yeah. On one of these segments, I was talking about like the whole like I hate that I have to sell my. I think I was talking to you about it. How I have to sell myself in order to sell anything, and I hate parasocial relationships, which is why I have avoided that kind of thing so immensely.
It's really weird. I think that if I had known that being an artist in 2021 meant that I would also have to, like be a photographer, be shooting short videos, be like constantly prominent online in a way to like sell my art and things, like people aren't just buying the art that I'm making, like they're buying, I don't know, a little Horcrux of me. Like you have to have something that sets you apart, that draws people in other than just your good art. Otherwise the algorithm will not work for you. It's all gross. It's all disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of any of it.
No, and I think really like the main problem is the fact that everything is online right now. I think doing work in your local scene is a lot, like kind of covers a lot of those, like so you don't have to constantly be quite so online.
I know with a little bit of experience in each of these realms that like either of those in itself like is fully time consuming.
Yes.
If you want to be present in your community or popular in your scene, like, whatever, however you want to phrase it or whatever you want to do, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time and energy. Stomping the ground, going to shows, being present and showing up for things in your community is a lot of work. It's also a lot of work to promote yourself online and make yourself present and comment on things in online spaces. And I think it's just like whichever route you feel comfortable doing, or if you even want to do those. And then of course there are always going to be those savants who are just like, fuck social media, I'm going to go stack rocks in the woods and somehow that's going to make me a bunch of money. So
I wish I could stack rocks in the woods.
That might suit you.
I think because I think offline is easier because I like going to shows and I hate being online. So maybe that's why I'm like, that's so much easier because I get to do something that I like.
Go.
I've looked through like community managers' Twitter accounts and it's like, oh, you're really just like fishing the algorithm. Like that's what you do is just like
that's show managing is just, well, it's not, I shouldn't say it's just, I use that word too loosely because I'm Midwestern. Show managing consists of a lot of tweeting, posting, talking about the show, gotta talk about the show, gotta game the algorithm so people are aware of the show. I mean, I did house shows out of my basement for a short period of time while I could, and I wouldn't really promote it online because again, like it's a basement. Yeah. And if you promote it online, you're gonna get more than a basement's worth of people. So I would just do regular posters and word of mouth. But people will just show up. People saw other people standing around outside and just saw that something was happening. And there were people who were brave enough to just walk down into another human being's basement because they saw people having a good time.
I think that is the true. I am very into that kind of thing, and I guess I am envious because I know such a thing doesn't exist, or maybe it's just my area. But in games, it's like that's why I hate games. I try and get away from it as much as I can because it feels like that kind of energy does not exist as much, or it's like diluted or shouted over by people who have too much tech energy and
Yes.
more money than they're leading on to have, especially. But
Yeah, I don't know how you would do that. Like, I guess land centers. I'm just like thinking about my local land center that's been closed down for a long time.
Yeah.
That's that and internet cafes. That's the space that it used to be. And like coffee shops with free Wi-Fi. That's the place to like test out new games and things like that.
yeah, and I'm trying to like figure this whole out because it's like a real uncharted territory. I'm gonna really encourage people. I'm gonna keep meaning to, speaking of not being online and not posting. I mean to like, I've got to make a little screed about like, hey, now that shows open back up, we need to stop going to conventions to preview games and only go to conventions to sell games, kind of like other artists do,
Yeah, that would be great.
I remember it was when I went to TCAF one year, and I was like, wow, all these artists are going here to sell things to make money. And these game developers, what are they doing? They're just going to, like, could you imagine going to, like, if you went to that Chicago Comics Expo and you were like, here's a one-page preview of a comic that I'm working on. That's
Yeah,
all?
if nobody had any finished work at a zine convention, it
Yeah.
would be like a completely different experience.
Yeah, that's like all game conventions.
You're saying that so no one is selling finished games at these conventions?
Maybe one or two at the most. I pretty much never see. It's always like wishlist our game on Steam. And it's like,
That's wild. Is it just because like the time it takes to complete games, or is it just because there's like a feeling of like, oh, you're not allowed to like hawk your wares here? Like, is it
feel like-
frowned upon?
I feel like there's a mixture of just like that's the culture, and that's always been the culture of like, for as much as arts have preview culture, games preview culture is like everything. It's like the whole thing. But I think people just don't, because the times I've done it, and I've increasingly, because like when I was thinking about that TCAF especially, I was like, well, shit, I need to sell something. So I made a zine that's, you can get over if you go to my itch.io page, you can pick up my Seinfeld role-playing game zine. There are no illustrations in it, but I think I really nailed the feel, and it's kind of funny. I think it's well written. I think I can be funny given the choice. But anyway, I made that because I was like, shit, I need to sell something, but I don't have like a game to sell, so I made that, and people weren't weird about it. It was like, oh, that's normal, I guess.
You can make a zine about absolutely anything.
It's a beautiful form.
It's really good. Zineliness is next to godliness.
Almost above, one would say.
Yes.
If you're out there in audience land and you make zines, like say for instance you have Natalie Lawhead's Electric Zine Maker, comes with every issue of Indiepocalypse, and it's on its own anyway as well, and you make a one-page zine, you can submit it to Indiepocalypse so that when people buy it, they can get a zine within their zine that they cut out and print out and fold.
That's delicious.
There's been like 3 of them, but I like it.
That's very good.
I love the DIY. I'm gonna keep saying DIY until it just like bores itself into my brain, and that's all I say until it becomes the new nomenclature.
Are you not used to saying it yet?
No. I mean, when referring to games, like, because it doesn't feel like there's the scrappy energy to it, It's why occasionally I need to, commission someone that makes Indiepocalypse feel like it's a flyer for a punk show,
Right.
Because
That's how I got a lot of my or I guess a lot of people to notice me. It was like doing flyers for punk shows.
listen, that's how I don't remember where I saw your artwork from. Like this, yes, I occasionally use someone who draws flyers for punk shows to make an Indiepocalypse issue.
Oh hell yeah!
That's how I probably threw the aforementioned Michael Clamorous retweeting something.
An absolute bastion for the community.
Yeah,
for several communities.
I'm getting weirdly more connected to this Michigan scene than I am Massachusetts.
There's a lot of good stuff happening in Michigan. A lot of crap stuff too, but that's
everywhere. That's America.
That's America, baby. That's everywhere.
It turns out every country is full of people, and all people live 24 hours in their lives, and they do all sorts of things within those hours.
I'm incredibly desperate for a shorthand phrase other than we live in a society that like can replace the need to say like and everything's bad and we live in a society and the world is burning and capitalism. Like we have to add an asterisk of like social acknowledgement to everything we're saying. But but until I find that phrase, we live in a society.
We do, though. I've got my makeup on like everybody else. I put my purple suit on one pant leg at a time and stride out into the world.
Yeah. So many things every day that just got me drinking the jonker juice.
He's truly a blessed man. I'm truly a real jocker kind of fellow myself.
Yeah.
I was thinking about. Someone asked. I think it was Gita Jackson asked, "What is a?" To talk about, I don't know, the niche things again. Rain, are you familiar with On Cinema, At the Cinema?
Is that the like before the show thing?
What?
No, I'm just gonna say no. I'm not.
No, okay, no, that's the Tim Heidecker, Greg Turkington like movie review.
Oh no, okay.
Alternate reality show thing. It's a weird, bizarre thing, and it's fascinating. And I got into it during that was my pandemic thing that I got into.
I got into building miniatures.
So regular artist of the zine, Sam Pender, has also gotten into building miniatures. I see him like do that, put them up like every day. It's
so good. It's addicting.
He's doing a lot of that stuff. Anyway, there's this the show is to sum it up. Its roots is that it's like a shitty, like those shitty banal like movie review podcasts that like don't say anything and just kind of talk about movies that I don't think anyone actually listens to, but it's like the platonic ideal of two white guys sitting around talking nothing about movies in an uninteresting way.
Mini a podcast.
Yes. I'm sure we've all got a friend that makes one of those. But anyway, that's to circle back to the original. Just to get it all wrapped up. There's a concept of the popcorn classic, which is kind of like really forgettable movies that I'm sure made a lot of sense at the time, or like were like they star famous actors and they're not bad and they probably got like well reviewed and did well at the box office, but have zero cultural impact. And she asked a question of what is a popcorn classic video game, and it stuck with me for a long time, and I haven't got an answer for that quite yet.
Oh man.
It's because it's like what is a movie that starred like Richard Gere and Julia Roberts and like that nobody remembers but probably meant a lot to people in 1995. Probably doesn't even have a DVD release, but who knows? Anyway,
the first thing that came to mind was Ape Escape.
Maybe it is. I think. Maybe I have to go back and play Ape Escape. I feel like we canonize games too extensively, and like sometimes you need to take a step back and say like. I recently tried to play Golden Sun.
Fuck. I love Golden Sun.
I do not.
Oh no!
I thought it was extremely slow and very boringly written.
It might be. I haven't played it since I was very young, but
That's,
I remember.
That's what I'm. That's Rain,
Okay.
We're at the core of the issue, I believe.
I see. Did you? Okay, so you were like going back to play it as an adult, and it just
Yes.
didn't hit the same.
As a man crested over 30, I was like, huh. Let me.
I'm gonna have to not dip back into it then. That was on my list for like things to do eventually. I'll just have to leave that crystallized in the amber of the past.
I think you should, because I really liked the confirmation dialogue boxes where the guy is shaking his head up and down or left and right. He's like, or no.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, like, it's slow and it's like, this is for children.
Man, I might have just liked copying the drawings.
Listen, maybe if you approach it from that standpoint, it might still be very good.
It does have really great art.
But that's, I don't know. I like to approach art from like, I like to always reevaluate things. Or like once it's been like 5 or 10 years and then someone asks me, oh, did you like that? I'm like, I honestly don't remember at this point. It's been so long that I can't tell if I like it or not anymore.
Do you keep lists of like the stuff that you've like played and read?
I do, mostly because, well, the things I've read, I have like my list is my Labib library because I don't put things on my shelves until I read them.
Okay.
And I have like an inconscionable amount of comics sitting, but on the other side of this very room from me, because apparently they unstuck that ship and all my comics came back in. And I have like thousands of them because talking about brains being broken for whatever reason, I just like, it's the medium I connect with it better than literature. And I don't understand why.
I don't remember who said it or where I read it or heard it from, but probably one of my illustration professors in school was talking about drawing is the quickest way to get thought out.
Yeah.
Like just mark making in general. Even though comics take, ironically, so incredibly long to make and so little time to read, it's just like the quickest way to convey emotion. You're just like seeing sequential images like that. It's just shooting feeling and expression straight to your brain and your heart faster than you can read it and comprehend it.
Scott McCloud would be so happy right now. He's sitting somewhere smiling. Or he's sitting somewhere drawing 2 dots in a upside and like a curved line and thinking, yes, that is smiling, and we all understand that as human beings.
I really hope I didn't just unwillingly quote Scott McCloud on
No, but I remember reading Understanding Comics, and like it's a big book that says probably like a lot of interesting things, but you know.
I have it. It's good.
Yeah, it is. It's
good. It's a useful tool.
It's nice. It's especially interesting that Scott McCloud, being someone who grew up in the West in the 90s making comics, dared to respect manga. It's such a wild thing.
Yeah, it's refreshing a little bit.
Now all the manga artists, now all the kids who grew up reading manga are the ones making the comics now.
When I think about like if my generation had not been, if we had not had our anime wings clipped by all of our art professors and teachers, we could have done so much. We could have gone so far, but instead we got it all stomped out of us. And then once we got out of school or, after hours, whatever, we're drawing our anime, drawing our cat girls and shit.
I love seeing old artists and just like, it's like, oh, here's my throwback art to when I was a kid, and it's like, it's all the worst anime bullshit you've ever seen.
Oh, I have a lot of my old sketchbooks, but there's some stuff I have burned because of how like palpably cringy it was. I was just like, there's no reason to look back on this particular growth. Like,
Yeah.
it's fine. I can skip these years. That's okay.
I think it was it? I'm trying to remember correctly who it was. I think I saw like one of the, like during the last time I saw that kind of like this was a while ago. But I remember seeing I think it was like even Meredith Grant had very like extremely anime artwork, and like now is I would say you can still see it, and I think of a lot of her like modern work that kind of like someone who liked anime, but it's like not the emulation is not so present.
Yeah, it's not so painfully obvious.
But there's like different techniques within that he's like that you can learn. That's not just like really buff dudes.
There's definitely, I think, like a lot of the expression and like emotional shorthand that's been adapted in Western comics from manga. That it's just like Western people just couldn't figure out a way to make emotion that legible.
Oh.
And then someone in Japan was like, if you draw these 3 lines where they're all kind of indented towards each other, it mimics a vein on the temple. And it was just like, oh, like blown out of the water, sweat drop on the brow, like completely blew the game open.
I'm not gonna subject people to the torture of this kind of art, but there's just a very specific style of like open mouth Western art that makes me want to die. And it's like a true vision of hell. Like Hieronymus Bosch is looking at that and he's like, damn, I wish I was that good. It's like that, like there's a real uncanny valley in a lot of, especially like colored, which is to say like colored with like colors put into the art, Western art. That is like, why'd you try to make it look like a real person? It just looks terrible.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, it's a true nightmare. I think I kind of like the only person I can kind of tolerate who draws in that style is Alex Ross, but like I'm not always looking for it even then. But most of it, like that very realistic Western comics style that I think is mostly in superhero stuff, I'd imagine, is real.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of realism. I'm much more about like the emotional intent behind things.
Yeah.
Getting if the feeling is gotten across through the marks made, then bam, like you did the drawing. It's done. You did it. It's good.
Yeah. It's art. You can do anything with it.
Right, yeah. I don't know. Like hyper realism, hyper realistic like graphite sketches or graphite illustrations are probably my like least favorite thing.
Rain, can I share a secret with you?
Oh my god, please share.
Don't tell anyone in the chat or
Okay.
audience. Please take it for headphones right now. You know when people do like those really complicated arts with like a ballpoint pen?
Yes.
I look at those and I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, why did you
Me too.
why'd you spend all that time making the most boring thing in the world? Congratulations.
It feels like really should just like show offy art. Like, congratulations, we get it. You can do a thing that looks like a photograph. We're all very proud of you. Why didn't you just take a photograph?
Right, like
this is especially when it's just like a Google stock photo of like an actor's face or something like that. My least favorite shit in the world.
You've put nothing into the world. You've taken 10 seconds of my time.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all. Because there's no emotion there. I'm about to. Oh man. Okay, so I've learned this thing in one of my art classes, and it was the goofiest sounding shit, but it really is true. And it wasn't until much later that I realized the truth of it. And it's called huh wow versus a wow huh.
Okay.
Stick with me because I
know. No, I think I know what you mean just through that like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's when you see an art when you see when you see some art or a thing, is your first impression, huh, I don't get it, and then after a while you're like, oh, okay, I get it, interesting, wow. Or is your first impression, wow, this is like, oh, it's so amazing, and then you're like, okay, huh, but what is it? What does it make me feel?
Yeah.
Anything? No. And so it's like I hate saying it because I don't know, it sounds like it's just very childish. It sounds like it belongs on like a cereal box or something.
Yeah.
But the sentiment of it, like once I really like took that home, making something that could at first be off-putting, but like honestly holds more for the viewer, like emotion-wise, or just it's so much more interesting. And there's so much art. There's so much art, and like a lot of NFTs. All NFTs really are just like wow. What are you doing? What is this?
NFTs are
trash.
Yes, listen. The real reason NFTs are bad for me are really like burning down the rainforest is because I'm getting so upset at looking at them that I just want to burn something down to make me feel again.
It's somebody walking into your home, turning all of the lights in your home on, calling it performance art, and demanding you pay them. Like, I hate it.
NFTs are a parody of modern art.
They're like a vicious evil parody.
Yeah, they're like someone who doesn't actually have a sense of humor. He's like, I'm making fun of modern art, but it's like their parody is also bad because they're also talentless.
Oh man, I just thought of the weirdest metaphor. Are you a One Piece fan?
Yes. I have, yes, I'm familiar with One Piece.
Okay.
I've read the vast majority of it.
Okay, the fake One Piece gang that's just like going around Sabaody, like pretending to be them and doing crimes.
Yes.
That's NFTs to art. Like, it's the fake Straw Hat game. It's fake art.
Where is my One Piece NFT?
No, don't ask for these things.
Listen, yeah, that is. Listen, Rain, you're getting me too close to talking about anime. This is not
oops.
Anime nights 2 nights from now when I do my AMVs. Actually, my trick of this when I get a parasocial relationship with wide cultures and everyone loves me personally despite my best efforts, I really want to do a comic book podcast because that's my self-indulgent wish.
So just do it. Just take your own advice and just do it already.
I know, but I need the trick is that when you're more famous, people are more willing to do it with you week after week. That's the tricky part. Is just roping people into the same people into do it with me week after week.
This is true. Just I don't know. I think that a weekly podcast model is really just racing to an early grave.
Yeah.
I do a monthly podcast, and that's plenty.
Yeah, I think probably the reason I can sustain this show week after week is it's more like I'm just hanging out with people.
I can't believe you do this every week. It's incredible.
It's a lot of work. I was told by Fantagraphics that I had a very good resume. They did not hire me. They did not hire me, but
it's so nice of them to say that. Though
it was nice of them to say that. A lot of the other places I've applied to have never even sent me a response. So that makes me think that it actually was true.
I mean, at least it means that they probably actually did read it.
But it also made me realize that I technically do have a good resume now, which is a weird thing.
I'm sure.
That I have been hosting a weekly show for over half a year. I have been putting out a self-published monthly periodical for over a year and a half. Huh.
Doing a lot.
Wow, when you think about it. Well, huh. I was thinking maybe that really made me think of that art that circles around sometimes. I'm forgetting the artist and it's bugging me. She's a comic artist. It's like a simplistic style. There's like two people looking at a painting. They're like, I don't get it. And then they pick up a child and they're looking at the art and they're mirroring the art itself.
Something Julia, I something like that.
Maybe. It's bugging me because I'm like, I also don't know how to search it.
Or it was like a Hellophilia one. I know the comic you're talking
You
about.
know the
I
comic
don't
I'm
know how
talking
to,
about. I
it's,
think
it's really good. I don't know how to.
Yeah.
Siri, pull this picture from my brain.
Yeah, thanks, Siri. Siri, what is that picture I'm talking about with the comic? The good Siri, good comic, please.
That's honestly one of the only good things about having a decent number of Twitter followers, and by that I mean just like, I don't know, like more people than you should have.
Right.
Is you can use it like a Twitter image search, where you can just be like, what is the TikTok? What is the picture of this? And some person that you do not know and you've never talked to will just be like, here you go.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
I love it. It's an unmean Reddit.
I did try that because I was looking for a role-playing game, or a Japanese RPG, but I did not find what I was looking for, which means I need 10,000 more Twitter followers.
Yeah, just get another 100 followers and then try it again and just keep doing that. That's the test.
Is it Carol? I'm gonna. Anyway, that's why if I had like 1,000 people in this chat, they'd be like, "I got the comic for you. I know exactly what you're talking about." Oh, I think I might have. Maybe did I find it? Maybe not. Anyway, I'm gonna stop googling this. Let's put this all aside. We're over 2 hours. So we're gonna wind this old show down to the road. I want to acknowledge someone in the chat, and as I acknowledge people in the chat going forward, I like to point out that I only don't say your name because I don't want you to like me. That's always made me uncomfortable when people on stream say shoutouts to Bong Lord in the chat, love you dude, and I'm like, no, there's a line between me and you, which is that I say the things you say.
I love a shout out to Bong Lord.
Shoutouts to Bong Lords, #1 fan, my favorites, all the Bong Lords out there. I love the bits you give me. True sickos out there who put those text-to-speech things on their Twitch chats. Crazier people than myself. But someone was talking about putting up posters for their games, and Punk Line friend said, hey, they made one for the same way for their shows. Anyway, I think it was cool. I think
Really cool. I love that idea.
I think in 2021, it pains me to say it, but I feel like punk is pretty dead. I think it's coming back, but it got too corporatized. Hot Topic 1, you know?
It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything that's dead is dead and fine.
Yeah. I think
It's 2021. Necromancy, baby.
Yeah, exactly. I think once we all come out of quarantine, it's more like I don't think punk can live on the internet as well, because everybody.
Oh no.
it all goes to social media, and like.
Punk social media is one of the worst things I've ever had to read in my life.
Yes,
I've read so much. It sucks.
It's so like you cannot be punk on Twitter.com. It doesn't work because you're on Twitter.com. And if I even say this, you can be like the guy in the well saying, "I'm so clever," but you know what? This one I'm putting my foot down. I am saying no, even though you cannot. It just does not work. Build your own website. That's the creed of this.
It was in MySpace.
Exactly. This is the creed of this show. It's like everyone needs to build their own websites again. Let's get out of this shit.
Oh God, I would love for just actual World Wide Web again instead of 3 websites.
Let's jettison Twitter into the sun and let's all join web rings again. Let's all start. Let's start refunding the anime web turnpike.
Yes. Sorry, I just got so excited.
Oh no! I think I referenced it last month and nobody knew what I was talking about when I said it last week.
Oh my God! Yeah, that just like activated sleeper cell agent.
I've activated a bunch of anime sleeper cells across the country.
Oh my God! Yeah, my Zanga just updated.
They're like, I gotta go to the Crystal Palace. Melissa's Crystal Palace and learn about Sailor Moon.
That's the place to learn about it.
I still use, when I play old art JRPGs, I come across this real GeoCities ass. Like, it calls itself a shrine.
That's how you know it's a good website.
Yes.
It calls itself a shrine. One of my favorite web pages that I get like spells from is one of those like GeoCities sites with like a fuck ton of like sparkle gifs and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are good spells.
They are. It's a beautiful time in the web, and I think we can't let Twitter control us. You, as a man who once, as the poet Jeff Rodenstock once said, you cannot control me. 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 Folks, it took a lot of effort to not play Ohio Pork Pie on this show. About as much effort as it took to not play it last week when I also played Scram. I have been... Ska's real, everyone.
I can't believe I missed Scott Week.
You missed... It was... I think I saw you posting something, or like it was a TikTok or a Fleet or something that featured Scram or some other song from...
Yes, for my Honk If You Skonk sticker.
Yeah, and I was like, man, I can't believe Rain missed Ska and I by 1 week. I thought about...
Just blows. I messed up.
I thought about delaying it, but I was like, I don't remember if you had said that, and then I was like catering it to one person. It dipped too close into parasocial territory for me. So it's like...
Every week is Ska Week, whatever.
It is, really. There's like... Okay, I said I was winding down the show, but then I started talking about ska. And I think growing up around like a certain age, if you're like in your 20s or 30s around now, you grew up in the real big fish kind of ska, which makes ska seem kind of corny, I think.
Real Big Fish sucks.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then like, so you used to grow up and think ska sucks. It's kind of goofy. But ska...
I say they suck. Because if you listen to Real Big Fish and you have a uterus, like it really hits different. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, I do not. I don't think medical science allows me to acquire one. I don't remember.
It does actually. Medical science is really incredible now.
Oh, see, I think that's perfect.
You just do it as like a fun little mental experiment.
Yeah.
Just pretend that you're a woman and listen to the Real Big Fish discography and see how you feel when you're done.
Oh no, I don't like the tenor with which you said that. I did listen to was it Real Big Fish? No, not Less Than Jake. What's the other one? The other ska act.
Streetlight Manifesto.
No, not Streetlight Manifesto.
Mustard Plug.
Not Mustard Plug. Maybe it was Real Big Fish. They did a version of Hungry Like a Wolf.
Yeah, that was Real Big Fish.
Okay.
I know because there's a Lupin the Third AMV that uses that song, and it's I hate Real Big Fish, but I will say that watching Lupin the Third and listening to that is an extremely horny AMV. And can we please close the show on that note? I don't want to have to discuss what I just said.
Yeah, let me just say that I played that very same AMV on this show on the inaugural AMV night, I believe.
I'm gonna lose my mind. It's the only good AMV.
No, okay. That's disrespect. I think all AMVs are good.
I'm being extremely disrespectful right now.
I think AMVs get the same bad rap ska got. I think plenty of them are good. But yeah, I like the banter at the beginning of that track a lot.
AMVs are good. Anime Polka is good.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's some people out there doing like true vibe AMV work, where it's just like, here's like a burial track over Jinro the Wolf Brigade, and it's like,
oh my god,
not related at all, but it's just a vibe. Anyway, I keep trying to close this show, and you keep pulling me back in. It's the end of the night. We're both trying to leave and go back to our hotel rooms after a convention, and no one will shut their damn mouths, so everyone can go home and eat pizzas on their bed.
But you can't stay here.
Yes, I am looking forward to going to hotel rooms, getting double bedrooms for the same price of one, and eating food on one of my beds and making it a food bed. Folks, invest in a food bed when you go out. They're basically the same cost usually as a single bedroom, but you can eat on one of them and be like, Crumb City, here we come.
Population me.
Last time I did that, I was at Atlanta, and I got somebody else's order, which was, I think, for a group of people, because I got like 2 pizzas and like pizza nachos and fries, and I'm like, this is too much food for me, but I'm gonna eat it all.
Incredibly blessed. That rules.
I'm going to a meetup next week, and it's going to drive me in real nutso, because I'm gonna realize that I miss people.
Uh-oh.
Or I don't miss any person in particular, but I miss people. When I read and watch things, I feel like I connect too often with characters who are emotionally distant, and I'm like, uh-oh, see too much of myself in this person. I highly recommend everyone out there. My final recommendation of Comic Land is the manga. I believe it's unlicensed at the moment, but Ikoku Nikki is very good, and it's like, wow, they can make good manga. I didn't even know.
Rude.
No, I like manga a lot, but I feel like it all feels very genre, you know.
Mm.
And you can't get like the same, like, who is the Michael DeForge of manga is what I'm asking. And I don't know who it is.
I don't know, but I want to find out.
I feel like there's the guy whose name I forget. He did like Ice Age and Traveling, who does like really abstract stuff that I really enjoy. But I think it's part of the just the. Oh wait, no, I got trapped again. Anyway, our 2 of our other guests had previously left. I will do their plugs for them. I'm saying manga, there's good stuff in there, but I'm learning the language so I can read the real good shit, the real wild indie stuff that I'm sure exists but is not marketable.
There's lots of good stuff out there that's just not on the Shonen Jump app.
Exactly. Yeah, I get real into the indie shit. Everyone out there in the Indiepocalypse family know I'm a big supporter of Glacier Bay Books, who does a lot of really good indie manga publishing. And like there's true exceptional stuff. I'm like, ah yes, the good shit, put it in my veins. But I also like Delicious in Dungeon. I think it's very good.
It's one of the best, most perfect books.
As my Twitter, as my now permanent, basically, Indiepocalypse Radio avatar is evidence of that. She's the best in the business, really. Like,
Very good.
I recommend everyone go out there, look up those Daydream Hour books if you want to understand how someone. If you want to look at art and be like, wow, how can someone be so good at understanding their own characters? Because it's like amazing how well she can like grasp the different feelings of her characters, and like how they're so dramatically different artistically, and how she's so aware of that as a fact of like, I need to make my characters visually distinct and like have their own personalities. That's how I came across. It's how I ended up coming across the Twitter account Minovsky article, because I kept searching up questions about Delicious in Dungeon. I kept coming across him. I was like, huh. If one person keeps having the same thoughts that I do, maybe I should follow that person on Twitter.
You probably should.
Turns out they also have a lot of helpful manga recommendations. But anyway. Did you already talk about new projects you're working on, Rain? Late-breaking questions. I presume this is about yourself, because no one else is here.
Didn't, but I know who's asking, and Yasmin, you will find out on August 7th, because I don't want to drag the show on another extra half hour.
Oh, beautiful. Where now? I put a couple things in the chat, but I will also say them out loud if you're listening to the show after the fact. Christian Young's work could have been found at Cormorant42 at itch.io. That is CORMORANT, the number 42. .itch.io. And there's also FaceOne.com, which is FEYXUAN. And Rain, what have you got to plug real quick as we're exiting the show finally?
You can find me online at rainclar.com or on most social media at smallsmallwitch. I will be at Grand Rapids Zine Fest August 7th, and I will have 2 to 4 new things.
Very excited, looking forward to it. I am so amped to go to indie comic shows again in 2022.
Me too.
Cannot wait to go back to Toronto and the Comics and Arts Festival there. If you haven't been, I'd highly recommend it to all the indie comic heads in the world. It's probably like the best show, maybe. I don't know.
It's on my list. I really want to go.
It's if you're a game developer, you can get in for practically free.
Oh shit!
If you get accepted into the Hand-Eye Society's Comics X Games, cross games rather, because it's a lot cheaper than I think TCAF proper is, but also because aforementioned game developers don't sell anything. So
we're gonna change that.
Yeah, I realized that, like, shit, how do I store things at conventions? Like, I think in my mind I was going to figure it out slowly as I accumulate issues.
I honestly just need to start offering zine or like festival setup coaching services, because I helped someone earlier today with that exact issue. Just email me or DM me. I'll tell you how to set up a table for a show.
Yeah, I was like, well, I started looking into magazine racks because I'm like, I need to display 18 issues.
Yep. I gotta, should just write a Google Doc. I'm just gonna make a zine about it. God damn it.
That zines, they're above godliness, I think, as one once said. And is there such thing as like those big those big magazine racks that have like a bunch of facings? Is there such a thing of a collapsible one of those?
Yeah, I own it.
Okay, where would maybe I'll ask you later. Let's take this off of the show, because I searched collapsible magazine rack. And I'm like, this doesn't look like it collapses in a way that I can put this on an airplane.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't collapse in like a springy way that you think it collapses. And you're gonna have to take this apart and put it back together. But it's fine.
Oh no, that's fine as long as I can bring it on an airplane with me.
Yeah. Don't worry. I got a link for you after the show.
Okay, I will take that link gladly.
If anyone listening to this is like, I want to know how to set up for a comic convention or a festival, find me online at Small Witch. I'll help you out. I love doing this kind of stuff.
Okay. No, that was almost very funny. I saw a post online that I thought I had the same reaction a Tumblr user did, where they thought someone was talking about getting queer baited by the cask of Amontillado, which I think that's not what the post was about. I think it was equating the cask of Amontillado to queer baiting, and which is very funny in and of itself.
I much prefer the first joke for sure.
Yes, that is very funny. Like,
so funny.
I can't believe
I got queer baited by the cask of Amontillado.
That's Montresor. Why do you do this indeed?
That really feels like a bumper sticker to me, honestly.
That is...
We shall split the profits.
Yes. Look forward to me making a zine called Queer Baited by the Cask of Amontillado. The only good brand post that I ever saw online was Spark Notes, because they were saying, like, no art is objectively good except the part in the Cask of Amontillado where he says, I certainly won't die of a cold, and he says, you certainly won't. Or what's the line? Anyway, I don't remember it. the exact line, because I'm being put onto put on the spot, and now I've drawn a blank. But anyway, I will say, for my part, hey, you should go out there. You should buy Indiepocalypse. I think it's good. I think it's a cool collection of games every month. It's a real DIY kind of
There
thing.
you go. Nailed it.
It's like, fuck your indie games. They're too corporate now. Get them out of here. Fuck those dudes. Throw them in the river. Don't need them. We got real shit by real people. Where it's like, I had something to say, so I said it. Not we don't talk about gameplay loops around here. We talk about how we were sad and we needed to get that out of our bodies, and we did that by making a game. We talk about how we got real. To answer the question that someone asked, where does your creative process come from? For me, it is like 90% spite, where I get angry at things and I'm like, well, I could make it better. And then that's where it's like, and it's 10% I like adapting things, because I think it's neat to try to adapt things into games. As I am adapting now that I finally settled on a title. Are you familiar with the album 69 Love Songs?
I'm not.
It's kind of an exercise in the form to sound pretentious about it. Really, it's just 69 love songs by the Magnetic Fields. It's like them making 69 love songs because it's the funny sex number. But also, it's kind of like, hey, let's make 69 songs. Anyway.
That's impressive.
It's all like weird, like let's do experimental songs, let's do cabaret songs, let's do whatever. Anyway, I'm turning them into tabletop, like role-playing games and stuff like that. I think it's neat. And trying to like adapt the feelings of a song into like, how is this a tabletop game? But if you are making games, if you have burning games within your body that you just need to get out, might I recommend submitting them to Indiepocalypse. Go to indiepocalypse.com/submit. If you make small zines, like small one-page zines, if you make comics, hey, Indiepocalypse also has those. If you go to indiepocalypse.com/zine, I am looking for like another. I think I want to like really hammer down 2 to 3 like regular comic strip artists. So I'm trying to like, if anyone's got any suggestions, like I like this person who is willing to produce a strip for $20 a week. I don't know if that's good or bad rates for weekly strip. Not sure.
Probably bad.
That seems low.
That seems really low. Sorry.
Oh wait, not weekly. Monthly. That
seems
still low.
All right, how many comics are they putting out a month?
Just one strip. 3 to 4 panels perhaps, or one panel, whatever you're up to.
I don't think 20 is enough.
I don't either. No, I
unless they only spent like a half hour on it.
That's what I'm hoping on. I feel bad about. Honestly, I feel that's why I really try to emphasize on the Indiepocalypse page, like, do not make new games for this. I'm not paying you very well. I don't have very much money. I'm kind of like spreading what little of it I can, the furthest I can. And it's like my commission rate is only $150, and I'm like, spend a weekend on this. I'm emphasizing. I'm suggesting that you spend a casual weekend on this game, not like the 3 months of lead time I'm giving you.
Right.
And if someone's like, that's too little, I'm like, yes, it is. I understand. Yeah, I like to be transparent about the money I am giving and how often it is not enough. But, what am I going to do? I don't know. VC money, folks. If you want to give me more money so that I can, in turn, give out more money, why don't you just go to indiepocalypse.com/Patreon? You can subscribe. If you clocked into this show late, you're like, shit, I want to listen to this show. I can't believe I missed. There were 2 other guests on this show. You'll get that show on Monday if you go to indiepocalypse.com/Patreon and subscribe. Or you can just get the zine like monthly without even thinking about it. Anyhow, I think that's the show. I'm gonna close it up. Oh yeah, RPGs. I mentioned earlier. If you are interested in PlayStation 2 RPG Maker, an exquisite corpse of those things, and you would like to spend a month working on one, go to indiepocalypse.com/RPG Maker. Fill out a form, and then I don't know. We'll make them. We'll see how it turns out. That's it. I think we're done. I think we're done here. I think I'm done with all this. What was I searching for that was important at the time? Oh yeah, it was that line. I never got there, I don't think. But no, here it was. It was people are allowed to dislike things. Wrong. No one is allowed to dislike the part in a Cask of Amontillado where Fortunato says, "Don't worry, I'm not going to die from a cough," and Montresor says, "True." Listen, folks, as we go into 2021 and end this show, be the Montresor in your friend group. You know? Invite your friends to the basement. Say you have a really cool wine and brick them up. May we all bring Montresor energy into 2022. Thank you all. Thank you, Rain. Thank you, everyone else.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night. I'm going to leave you with I've never said the track's name because it's been my unofficial outro. This is Sidney Gish's Imposter Syndrome, which I think is a very good song and a very good closing song and a very good song to simplify. You get what I'm saying, everyone. You get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying.
You get it.
You get it.